Ooh, hello, everyone. Paul appears to have removed the intros out of the StreamYard without telling me. So, hello and welcome to the Toon Review. Absolutely no introduction. Will be the introduction. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll have to improv this because I thought I had another 2 minutes of nonsense. But yeah, welcome into the transfer show for tonight, the Toon Review. Myself, Stato, I am back. Had a couple of days off. And I'm joined by Billy Bob to help me through this slightly interesting and different transfer show tonight. So yeah, welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome in all the standard viewers. Well, I'll let you do that bit, Billy. Go on, you do your bit.
Yeah, well, good evening to all the beautiful people out there in Viewerland and all the Magpie Massive who are watching this unique show, actually. One I'm looking forward to. I don't know too much about it myself, but I know the work that Stato's put in, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, it is a slightly different show, but before we get on too much into that, I will do the standard stuff. Please make sure you check out the channel sponsors who make things like this possible and support us. Mamaroo Records. We have some logos in the top left, top right corner. We should, as long as Paul's not taking that bit out as well, have a reference to that in the description. So Mamaroo Records, you can check out the website. They do also have a location in Whitley Bay for you to go and check out. So please make sure you do that as well. Make sure you've subscribed if you've not already. If you've dropped in as a new viewer, if you've never seen the Toon Review before, we do loads of cool stuff like this all the time. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like it to reach out to more people so we can grow the amazing community that this is. You can also donate via the $ underneath Billy. So feel free to click that if you want to support the channel. You don't have to, but if you do want to, you can also become a member. There is a join button, so you can go and be a member and be entered into things like giveaways that we do every so often for things like merch, mugs, signed photos, books, loads of different things, loads of fun stuff. And I think that's about it. Oh, I guess the new website, because the new website does exist, so thetoonreview.com. Make sure you go check out thetoonreview.com for the merch. So that is if you want to go buy some lovely t-shirts, hoodies, bags, mugs. There's all kinds of different things. I will probably put it up later when we screens. Drinkware, indeed, drinkware. I know Paul hates it when I reference that, but there is no such thing as drinkware unless you've said something very offensive to a young lady, then possibly. Anyway, so without further ado, we will get our teeth into the topic of transfers tonight. So this is a different transfer show tonight, everyone. This is not a show where we are reviewing linked players. I know that's ridiculous. We never do that. Very rare we do anything like this. However, we are going to review players of clubs which may be in some PSR hot water. So clubs that might struggle to meet the financial rules come the end of June. So Billy, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we do have 2 transfer windows in the summer. Mm-hmm. Yep. It opens for the Club World Cup purposes between the 1st and the 10th of June. And then the deadline for PSR is actually at the end of June. So it does give clubs a cheeky little chance to balance their books and gives us a potential opportunity to get the checkbook out. Eddie Howe has, I think, semi-referenced, not this, but referenced at least going a bit, maybe being able to take advantage of situations that we previously fell foul of. Do you see this kind of a method we might employ to try and get some players through the door?
Absolutely. Considering we got bit by it last year, it owes us, I think. So yeah, absolutely. Why not? It's a way of getting cheaper transfers through the door. Players that maybe would have been unattainable can now come to us if their clubs are, or current clubs are under financial pressure. So yeah, I do see it as a fantastic opportunity for us.
Yeah, indeed. So a couple of questions about that. It is just going to be clubs in the Premier League or possibly relegated clubs. But yeah, clubs in England is what we're going to be looking at primarily. We're not going to be looking at clubs around Europe. We've done some free transfer shows previously looking at certain ones. So go back and have a look at the live shows list if you want to go and have a look at some recent transfer shows. We've done some quite detailed ones. And for those of you I know who are furiously typing in the chat, I know we've been linked with goalkeepers galore and lots of different players. We will be doing a standard transfer show soon, covering all of those. I have already done my research on most of those players and have been getting watching minutes of them as well, because it is important to watch a few live games, not just YouTube. We don't want to do any Shane Ferguson scouting. Diehard people will know the reference there. Anyway, we've got a couple of things to go through because Trulls has gone and slapped down 5 gifted Toon Review memberships and followed it up with another 5.
Well done,
so
Trolls.
That is incredible. Thank you very much, Trolls. Much appreciated. Massive supporter of the channel. I would like to give a personal shout out to Martin, one of our mods as well, who has been giving lots of patter and chirpsing about this topic for the last few days because he's known in advance this is what we're doing and has been kindly doing some really interesting digging in different clubs' finances. Very well could be one of the Toon Review investigators. So thank you very much, Martin, for your extra help on this topic. It's much appreciated. Massive respect. So shall we do a little bit of digging, Billy?
Yes, let's get the shovels out.
I'll let you roll the dice. What clubs do you think are in a bit of PSR hot water? Just what springs to mind?
I think Aston Villa, maybe. I think
Aston Villa.
I think potentially West Ham could be, and perhaps even Nottingham Forest could be.
Some three pretty good shouts there, to be fair. Forest is a potential one. I've not put this on high up on the list, but we can review Forest potentially. It depends how much we get to actually go through tonight. But it's been a little while, Billy. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about the updated badge situation. There's been a few bits clarified. I know Tom, one of the mods, went to one of the workshops the other night and had put some fantastic reports in there. I don't know if you've covered that in some shows in the last couple of days.
We did, yeah.
What are the thoughts on that? How's everyone feeling about the badge situation?
Tom was on the fan forum last night and explained it perfectly. Really, the people are well aware that nobody wants that kind of design as the badge, and basically it's a case of waiting to see what happens next. But absolutely, yeah.
I do like the lengths they went to be very careful with it, though. They went for the whole reinvent or keep it traditional, do a bit of this, do a bit of that. They've clearly, they've not picked a direction. They've just said, here are all of the possible directions to let maybe the fans backlash, swat some of them away and eliminate the bad ones, which was possibly the point, right? So they've employed some very good people. I think Tom said somebody was employed by Nike for a long time. There's a few people in high places involved in the project. So it's very, very interesting indeed. And I know this is a Newcastle United channel specifically. However, we do have to reference I've got to be politically correct how I say this. I don't want to get us cancelled when Paul's not even on the show. The rather interesting final tonight of 2 challenged clubs for some reason on a Wednesday night final. We'll go about as far as that, who have been upsetting the locals in Bilbao today with very uncultured behaviour, upsetting all the old people on their balconies. I've seen lots of the videos. Thoughts on this strange
Certainly wonderful. We all knew the rules. They knew the rules for the game for the season started. It's hard. It's a bit churlish to complain about it now. They've had a poor season domestically, both sides. But in the Europa League, they've done pretty well and they've made the final. And that's the rules of the competition. If you win that, you win the Champions League next season. I don't see how we can complain about it. However, it'll be a bit. If Manchester United were to win it and we finish 6th, let's say, if we lose to Everton and finish 6th, that'd be 2 seasons on the trot. They've took the last place off us, so it'd be a bit perturbing, I've got to say. But still, we know the rules. I'll be supporting Tottenham Hotspur tonight for a change. I don't want Man United to do it.
Yeah, I think there was a graphic that was posted somewhere, Twitter or Reddit. I can't remember where it was today, from possibly one of the newspapers about how the percentage from different fan bases of whether they wanted Manchester United or Tottenham to win. And ours was literally 96% Spurs, apparently, in the survey they did. So clearly everybody in a black and white shirt hating Man United. So most of us, to be honest, we lost a final against them a few years ago in pretty much the only time we've had a bad game against them in the last 3 or 4 years. Very frustrating. And then they stole the European place office by beating a hungover Manchester City, which was infuriating. But yeah, it would be nice for them to get a good tonk in tonight. And but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. First, we're going to talk about our transfers.
Yeah.
So what was one of the clubs you mentioned? It was West Ham, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Shall we start with a bit of West Ham?
Why not?
Could be a nice one to begin with. So let's go pop West Ham on the screen. Not had a great season, West Ham, Billy.
No,
I'm going to have to scroll considerably to go and find their name on this list because they're all the way down, essentially in front of the two challenged clubs. So yeah, they're down in 15th. They've managed to accumulate only 42 points, which is amusing because they famously have gone down on 42 points before.
Yeah,
so considering some of the stars they boast in this lineup, 40 points, a minus 18 goal difference. They've let in 61 goals. They've not scored very many either. It's a pretty torrid season for West Ham. Why should we target any of their players?
They've had a lot of managerial problems this season. Two different managers wanting to play in different ways. Certain players couldn't play for one manager. Now certain players can't play for the other manager. So there's players there that are quality players. There's no doubt about that. There's a fellow on the right wing I'll be quite interested in. But they've also got people like Mohamed Kudus, who's got a lot of flair and potential as well. So they do have some good players. No doubt about that.
Mm. Well, let's go down and have a look at them, shall we? Down to the squad list. Here it is. Right. Pick of the bunch from the forwards. I bet there's a name in there you forgot.
Well, I'd take Fulkrug personally.
Really?
His
injury hit season?
Yeah, I mean, Ferguson will be going back to Brighton, won't he? So I think he'd be a hefty price, although the value of him will have definitely gone down this season. Antonio, well, you can't really be buying him, especially with getting rid of Wilson and just replacing him with a like for like. No, Danny Ings, he likes to score against us, but he's about 33, 34 now, isn't he? So, yeah, out of those four, I'd say Fulkrug personally because he's a quality player.
I'm on the fence with Fulkrug. Obviously, we're a bit biased having watched him in the previous season when he absolutely dominated everyone for Bayern Munich. Dortmund fans, for Borussia Dortmund, and he destroyed us as well. He was fantastic for Germany. He was a battering ram. He was absolutely incredible, and he's done absolutely sod all this year, which is a real shame. I predicted, and I was completely wrong, and I'm disappointed in him. Because I sort of suggested in the summer that he was going to absolutely batter the Premier League this year. And he's just not. He's just been injured. He's struggled, which is weird because he just destroyed every competition he played in last year. Why no Evan Ferguson? Why the change? Because I remember you used to be very keen on him.
Well, for one, he's not going to be at West Ham, I don't think. He's going to go back to his parent club. And I think they probably want too much money for him. And yes, he has potential, but I think he's damaged goods, if I'm perfectly honest. I think this last season has really took a toll on him. And why he hasn't been playing for West Ham? They took him on loan and not played him. Doesn't make much sense to me, and it's got to be reasons why.
Yeah, very odd. All right, well, I'm going to overrule and say we're not picking any of those four.
I personally wouldn't have any of the four, but if I had to take one, it'd be Fulkrug.
Okay, right. Well, we'll sit on the fence with them. Yep. What about this riffraff?
I really like Kudus. I really like Kudus. I think he's an excellent player, and I really like Bowen as well, which is an easy spot, really.
Okay. So Mohamed Kudus and Jared Bowen are yeses from this team. If we've got a bit of money, if they're in a bit of PSR hot water, they're both in positions we are recruiting in. Kudus can play both sides. Jared Bowen pretty much exclusively plays on the right-hand side. What about Somerville? Seen enough?
I think he's got potential. For the here and now, reluctant.
Okay, so Jared Bowen and Kudus then. So we are going to go and do a little thing. We're going to go to the graphic screen, and we're going to go bring these picks onto our little pitch. We'll put them in blue, shall we? So we'll go for Kudus. Oh, if my keyboard's turned on, that generally helps, doesn't it? So Kudus, and we will have Bowen. So Danny Dyer, please don't watch this show. So we'll stick them over there in the maybe pile, and we'll go back and continue picking. So we've got one more pick because we're only going to pick 3 absolute maximum per club. Anybody off the defensive list, bearing in mind they've let in over 60 goals this year. It's been quite a lot.
Yeah. Personally, probably not. But of those, if I had to take one, it would be Wan-Bissaka.
Wan-Bissaka. What reasoning? Is that just because of who he is? Is that to fill a hole in our squad?
I think he's an excellent defender. He doesn't do much going forward, but having said that, he did score against St James's this year. So I think he's a much better player than people give him credit for. And I think the move to Man United did him no favours. He went to a poison, toxic club. And I think he's done okay this season for West Ham. Every time I've seen him anyway.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree. I think if you're against a team you really don't want to lose to, you put Wan-Bissaka somewhere in the back line and just tell him to be really careful. He's one of those kinds of players, certainly. Yeah, it'd be a consideration. I'll say yeah. We'll stick him in the list. Any reason why we shouldn't be looking at Todibo or Max Kilman, maybe?
Yeah, I just think they're a bit below the level that we want him, to be honest. Kilman's, I mean, they're good players, but they're mid-table players for me.
Yeah, obviously Wan-Bissaka, you've got Trippier potentially aging out. Could be a spot. Not the youngest, but okay, we'll go Wan-Bissaka. We'll pop him on the list. Again, don't come at me, guys. We're just theorizing at this point. We're gonna trim this lot down. We'll go and have a look at contracts, finances, the situation, what we need. All we're doing, Wan-Bissaka. That's definitely not his name. Sounds like a Jedi, doesn't it? Let's go Wan-Bissaka.
Or someone on the channel.
Right. Anyway, so that's West Ham done because I'm not taking any of them goalkeepers, I'm afraid. I don't think you are either.
No.
Because Areola, despite being okay, is like 32, 33 as well. So I think we're trying to move away from that kind of profile. Right. Second one you said. We'll move on. We will go to a bit of Aston Villa, shall we? Don't know why I'm calling them that tonight. It's
going to be hard to narrow it down. They've got an excellent squad. It has to be said. And I think, I mean,
I think this one we've got to do a bit more sensibly, Billy, based on what they might give away, what we might be able to reluctantly prize from their frustrated hands.
Yeah.
So obviously Rashford's probably not going to end up at Villa, and we don't really want to deal with Man United anyway. You've got Asensio, he's on loan there from PSG. Marlon, I know you were a big fan of previously.
Yeah. He's not really had much opportunity as far as I can see. Whenever I've seen him, he's either come off the bench or he's been in one of these teams that have come after a European Champions League game and they've kind of rotated a bit. So he's not really pulled up any trees for me.
Well, Martin, interestingly referenced before, said that some reports have suggested Villa had to pay up front for Onana and Marlon. And, not in the greatest position. So there could be the potential of getting a cheeky little transfer there, possibly. It's not cut and dry. So there's been a few suggestions, Billy, on Jacob Ramsey and Morgan Rogers. Jacob Ramsey has been more, I think he's been officially linked by journalists and newspapers. So it's rumours, but still linked. Enough so we could actually do him in a transfer show, which we probably will. Morgan Rogers, there's not been anything recently in the last week or two that I remember, but before then there has been. That would be my pick, is Morgan Rogers personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's young. He's got all the potential you want, really. He's a fully fledged England international. He's had a great season. Scores goals, creates goals. Very physical, very quick. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
He's actually had a better season than I remembered. I've gone and had a look. It's pretty crazy. Oh, if it lets me zoom in. There we go. He's on 8 goals, 10 assists in just the Premier League. And he's got 6 goal contributions in the Champions League as well. So that is not bad.
That's
not bad at all. 6'2.5", 6'3", left-footed, good age, ticks all of the boxes. But he is very much a crown jewel at the moment for Aston Villa. So they would absolutely hate to lose a guy like this. It would be awful for them. This would be like us losing Elliot Anderson. This would be their version of it, because you can tell this kid's going to be incredible. Maybe the only thing, Billy, is he's kind of left-sided. It might be the end for Joe Willock if we make a signing like this.
That wouldn't be, the way Joe's been playing this last 18 months or so, and although that's a lot of it down to injury, I don't see that being a bad thing, to be honest. He's a definite step up in quality, isn't he?
Well, it means you could. So no disrespect for Joe Willock, but Morgan Rogers is a considerable step up based on the output I'm looking at here. Physicality, height, age profile's better. Left-footed is a little bit of a different profile we don't have much of in the squad. He's done the business in front of goal. What is there to not like? You could sell Joe Willock. You could have him battling with Joe Linton for places in the team. Healthy competition.
He's very much like Joe Linton, isn't he? Very much like him. Very physical.
There's a fair amount of similarities. I think he's a little bit more intricate, possibly, in his play.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I'm going to definitely say Morgan Rogers is my pick, and I'm trying to be realistic here. I don't think there's going to be. I think if we're going to go and get someone off Villa if they're in trouble, it's going to be one person, and we're going to have to throw a lot of money at it because they're not going to want to do it at all. So, are you cool with the idea of us just picking the one? Do you think there's anyone else in here we could try that's realistic?
Yeah, I don't want any offence, to be honest.
I do like Boubacar Kamara, but I just don't see that as being realistic.
They don't need to sell him, do they? Because he didn't cost anything.
Yeah, he was a free transfer.
I mean,
well, all the more reason why they could sell him because.
But it's sort of pure profit, isn't it? I guess, yeah. I like Kamara, wages. I prefer Ramsey. I must be honest, but out of the lot, Morgan Rogers is definitely the jewel in the crown, no doubt about that.
All right, well, let's go put Mr. Rogers on the list, shall we? Let's bring him up and go. Rog, he's got a D or without a D?
No, I don't think he's got a D.
He's not a D. Okay, no. Rogers. There we go. Rogers, you're in the pot, mate. We'll discuss you a bit later. Right, so that's Aston Villa out the way. We've got so this is a team that I think maybe we can skip. And there's a reason for that. By the way, their form, they've massively gotten themselves out of trouble. Look at that little win streak they put together. 6 wins on the bounce. That sorted their season out. And then they've lost the last 3, but we won't talk about that. It was against Man City, Brighton, and I guess Palace. But they've just won the FA Cup. Anyway, the reason why I think this is a little bit of a dud to discuss is because we think Mateus Cunha is going to Manchester Newhaven.
Yeah.
So if that's true, are they going to get rid of any more? They won't need to balance, would they?
I certainly want anyway. If he goes, I wouldn't want any of them though. Anyways, forwards. That's for certain. Absolutely not.
Well, I mean, I don't mind Strand Larsen. It's a bit of a risk. He scares me when we play against him. I want to watch him. I think he's a handful, but I don't know if I'd want to buy him.
No.
So Hee Chan Huang, Paul's favourite.
Well,
29, 30 years old now, roughly 29 years old. I think.
Saves a couple of goals a season, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, there is that. Sasha Kalajic, of course, the guy who's about 9'12", which is 10 foot. No midfielders. What about Andre, who does pair Bruno Guimaraes in the middle of the park for Brazil sometimes?
I like the 3 together there. I like the 3 together. Right, knew him, a massive fan of, as you all know. And Semedo, I'm also a fan of. Both can play full-back and both can play midfield, so they want to tick more than one box. But
I'm not convinced by Semedo, personally.
You're not?
As a signing for us, I'm not convinced by Semedo.
No. Nuri, he's a fantastic player.
It's like every so often he presses a few buttons on his FIFA controller and just does stuff, and you're like, oh my god, how has he gotten away from you there? Sometimes he puts a bit of magic on, which I think we're missing a lot of in the Premier League at the moment. So he's one of those. But there's a lot of exotic. I mean, look at this midfield: Brazil, Algeria, Brazil, Portugal, Spain, Portugal. It's a very exotic midfield, isn't it? With fullbacks.
Zimbabwe.
I don't know
Wow.
why they're in there. So let's go and have a look. Are we putting one in? Are we going to put Aït-Nouri in? Do we need a left back?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we need a left back. We've got one fantastic one, and maybe we do need one, but I just don't see Aït-Nouri being
Gomez?
Yeah, I like Gomez, to be honest.
Do we like him enough to put him in this pot?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, right. Let's skip that then. Again, I think these are probably. Honestly, I don't want any defenders from Wolves. Not a chance. You would not. You couldn't pay me to take a defender off Wolves. I don't want Jose Sarr as well. I think his time has been. And Sam Johnston somehow still getting in the England team. He's tragic. Anyway, we'll move away from Wolves because I think if they sign Mateusz Cunha, then this is a redundant conversation. So,
yeah.
Any ideas who's going to be next on the list, Billy?
Maybe Chelsea. Are Chelsea going to get done this year?
Ooh, that's a controversial one. Possibly. But I am going to take a little breather just to say thank you very much, Martin, for your 17 months of membership. Hi, Alex and Billy. I hope all is well. I would sign Damsgaard this season in midfield better than Willock and Longstaff. Thoughts, Billy?
I think he's a good player, but he's not really the first choice in the Brentford side, so I don't see why we'd sign him. I think he's an excellent player.
I think he is when he's fit, isn't he? I think he got injured recently. That was why he wasn't playing.
And the haircut kind of puts me off him as well. I mean, I know it's churlish, but still.
Oh, dear. I mean, he's got, the last time I looked, he was on 10 assists. Fantastic young 10 playmaker. Yeah. I'm just not really sure it's the kind of profile.
In our team as a 10?
Not really. A slight number 10 is not the kind of profile that we tend to look at. Unless Eddie Howe hugely moves from his system. I can't see that. We don't seem to play. We're thinking like David Silvers that will play in behind the striker. Like we're not looking at players like that. It doesn't seem to be the way forward for. I mean, it's not to say that we won't progress that. Maybe it's just what Eddie Howe was left with personnel wise, and it's what he's decided to recruit into, and he's kind of got that kind of. I'm sure he's not married to this formation and system. He might be open to improving and changing it, but it depends on personnel, right? So, but I think just plopping a little tiny 10 in this team, I think we'd have to change a lot, wouldn't we?
I think so. Although it would give us an option at free kicks rather than Fabian Schär blasting it into the wall or the crowd.
It's just because he scores the occasional banger, we just let him do it. We need Tonali on it every single time.
Yeah, I agree.
We really do. Even though he's had a couple of duff shots, you can see he's got it, especially with the technique as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So you mentioned Chelsea, Billy.
Yeah.
It wasn't first on the list, and they're not officially in hot water. It very much depends on whether the Premier League are willing to accept the sale of their own entities to themselves, basically. So it's very, very difficult to kind of figure out if this is even going to be a realistic conversation.
It may go above the Premier League, so apparently UEFA are looking into it, aren't they?
Yeah, so for people who have been living under a rock, allegedly, Chelsea sold the women's team and a hotel to themselves. Allegedly. Please don't sue us. So if that gets all cleared, then they're fine. Obviously, they've spent about 100 gajillion pounds on absolutely everybody that exists. We got linked with basically every defender we got linked with throughout the entirety of last summer. Chelsea signed all of them. It was quite comical. It got to a very funny spot. So yeah, this may be realistic that they might have to offload a couple of players that they'd rather not, or they're in really big trouble possibly. Or Billy, which I think is the likely one, this will probably just get swept under the rug.
I imagine so. Given who it is, yeah, I imagine it will be. But
they'll give them a 6-month transfer ban and a fine at the absolute worst, I think.
Well, they've had transfer bans being in the past, haven't they? So it's not a new thing for them.
Yeah, that was when they gave like 80. They tapped up like 83 youth players illegally or something. It was something mental. And that was when they'd got about 60 players out on loan as well, with an enormous loan farm, a bit like Atalanta had as well not too long ago. Anyway, let's put the Chelsea squad back on screen. Right. This one might take a little bit longer, so we'll have to be nice and concise here. Who in the forward line would you like and would be realistic, and who would they let go?
I think they'd let go in Nkunku, and I'd like to see. I like Nkunku. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's been tragically misused there, criminally misused, in fact. Yeah, he's a good player, really good player.
Yeah, so Christopher Nkunku and Dominic Szoboszlai were two absolute specimens in the Bundesliga. Szoboszlai has gone on to be fantastic at Liverpool, and Nkunku, who was arguably the better player, it's just gone wrong. He did obviously start with a really big injury. Speaking of injuries, Pedro Neto.
Yeah, excellent player, but again, there's another one he suits us down the right side, doesn't he? And be ideal for our right hand side, but again, he's very much injury prone, isn't he? I think Nkunku's got a higher skill ceiling than Neto, if I'm perfectly honest. Yeah, I mean, Guiu is an interesting player. He's very young and lots of potential, but out of those, I think the one they would definitely get rid of is Nkunku. I think he wants to go, and I think they'd get half decent money for it.
Do you think we would want a player like that though? Slightly smaller, like Nkunku, plays as a 10, had a few injuries.
I think he's going somewhere. That's for certain. I don't think he'd be.
I agree with you. I agree. I think he might end up in Spain somewhere. Maybe the Barca shirt, or back in a Bayern Munich shirt or something like that. But I just don't see us going for that profile of player personally.
No.
I'll tell you who I think we might go for if it ever becomes an option is Madueke. I think we would throw our name in the hat, or our hat in the ring. No, that's the right phrase. Hat definitely goes in the ring if it's for Madueke. 100%.
100%. I agree. Yeah, and I'd be happy with it too. He's an excellent player.
We've been linked with him previously. We were heavily linked with him when he was at PSV. We need a right winger. He's obviously played with Anthony Gordon excessively in the youth setup for England. They did very well together in the European Championships. They won it at youth level. It's the position we need. He's young. He's athletic. His attitude's a bit funny, but I mean, we got Gordon and he was all right, so we could probably sort him out. You know, you're not gonna do that to Dan Burn because you'll get clipped around the ear, so it'll be fine. I personally think we should throw that definitely onto the graphic.
100%. 100%.
So that's one of the three. Are we thinking it's realistic to have a chat about anyone else? Do you think we would? Do you think we could? Do you think they'd sell to us?
I think the player there that stands out that's probably going to be leaving will be GP Hall. But I don't think it's the level we want, personally. I think he's an excellent player. But again, he's below the level we want.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dewsbury Hall's a really good player, but I don't know. I could see him taking the step down into sort of a Bournemouth or a Brentford team and doing really well.
I agree.
I'm not sure we could give him the love and the minutes he needs, even though he could maybe progress. Maybe we're doing him a disservice. I think he could potentially progress into what we're talking about. I'm not sure it's guaranteed. I don't think we've seen enough of him or a professional enough to know that, and he himself will know, and he'll have to do the hard work. But I don't think anybody else in this list is really a viable option to talk about. I think Lavia is just starting to find his feet with them after a long time. There's the youngsters. Mudryk, no. Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez were very expensive. Not Cole Palmer. Yeah, I think Madueke is probably the only realistic one. Dewsbury Hall, I agree with you, probably a little bit under our level. So, guys, we have got over 1,000 people watching, and I just want to kind of reiterate what we're doing, because I know a lot of people missed the start of the show. So, for people who don't know exactly what we're doing, we are having a little chit chat about the clubs that are potentially going to be in PSR hot water come the end of the season. And that the reason being is because we have two transfer windows in the summer. We have the first one between the 1st and the 10th of June, meaning we could take advantage of that little mini transfer window for the clubs that essentially need to sort their books out before the deadline at the end of June. So we could go and take advantage of that window. Eddie Howe has said as much in a press conference, so I think it's a realistic conversation we can have together, because Eddie Howe has specifically referenced this. So we're just having a look at the clubs that may or may not be in trouble, having a look at the squad list, seeing who might be a good option. So we're just going and plucking people out of that. But thank you everybody who was tuned in to watch. Make sure you have hit the like button. It does help with the search results in the algorithm of YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already done that. You can hit the $ if you'd like to support and donate to the channel, and you can hit the join button if you want to be a member and get involved in all the giveaways that we do. Please make sure you check out the Mamoru Records. Well, not the logo. There is a link in the description for the sponsor for Mamoru Records. You can go visit the website. And also the shop in Whitley Bay. They do sponsor and do a fantastic job for us. So please check them out and show them some support. And I think that's... Oh, yeah. Toon Review website. We've definitely got to show that as well because I keep forgetting about that. So let's pop it on screen so everybody can see it. So check out thetoonreview.com as well, which is the official merchandise store. If you want to go and have a look at some amazing... where is it? Drinkware, headwear, clothing, accessories is the first place to go if you want some stuff to represent us on the channel and want to have a bit of fun. So make sure you go check that out. And I think that's everybody, Billy. I think I've done all my shout outs. Let's go and talk about Chelsea again, shall we?
Yes, where did we get to? With the midfield, wasn't it? So we've got the defence to look at next, I believe.
Yeah, so scroll down a bit. Oh, God, they've got so many players. Defenders.
Yeah, and of course you've got players on that list that maybe will be coming back, like Disasi, and I think we skipped really did dodge a bullet with watching him for Villa.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, Tosin's gone there and not really had the game time he really wanted. Colwell has been the best player for me for their defence. Him and Chalobah, strangely enough, in the centre. So anyway, Fofana's injured. I just don't see any of those really.
What about Chalobah?
I like Chalobah. I think he's an excellent player. Yeah,
I think he was the best defender against us recently.
Yeah, Chalobah and Colwell. I think they're the two standouts. I don't think you get Colwell from them, but Chalobah, I think you'd have a chance of.
I agree with that. I don't think we'd get Colwell, but I think we could possibly be in with a shout for Chalobah. They seem to be open to the idea of getting rid of him anyway. So let's put Chalobah on the list. I think that's fair. We need to put Madueke on as well. Madueke. And Chalobah. There we go. We're starting to build quite a good list here. Anybody else in the Chelsea team? Goalkeepers? Nah.
Not for me. I think that's their weakest. I think it have had to have a decent goalkeeper. They may be higher of the league, to be honest.
Why do goalkeepers in the Premier League always sound like a tin of beans? Marcus Bettinelli. I mean, he's English. Oh, God. That's awful of me, isn't he? I just assumed he was Italian. Let's move on from Chelsea. Let's gloss over that to Paul's favourite. Let's go and have a look at the Scouse Mackhams. Who have managed to sort themselves out and steady the ship. What's their new stadium called, Billy?
Hill Dickinson, I believe.
How did that get approved?
Get your T-shirt, you get your Hill, get your Dickinson. That's not something I want to say to my lad as he's on his wedding night. Anyway, let's go forward.
-3 goal difference, which is considerably better than Manchester United's and Manchester United's. We'll just go with that. So well done, Everton, for basically having a relegation battling season and still doing way better than Man United. It's funny. 41 goals scored, 44 conceded. So not terrible. The defense, it looks like the defense has kind of sorted them out to a degree. So maybe we should look in that direction when we look at the squad, Billy. Although I'm not expecting. We've got to be careful, by the way, because we play these at the weekend. So I can't talk too much smack, nor can you, because they'll bloody score against us. So we've got to be careful.
We'll take them all.
Yeah, they're all fantastic. Forwards.
At the risk of being disrespectful, no, thank you.
I'm really interested. But what is Beto's full name? He can't just be called Beto. Calls the NHS up. It's just like, oh, it's Mr. Beto. Can you know? Anyway, no, I agree. Definitely none of them forwards. Brozier had his day. It's not quite worked for me. I thought he was maybe going to push on and be a fairly top player and at least a European standard player. Doesn't look like he's done it so far in his career. Calvert-Lewin, I mean, I think we're all a bit sick of this story now, aren't we?
Yeah. That basically,
Nathan would take DCL for a season.
Why? Do you think you could sell the programs or anything?
Dear me. I'm not even gonna expand on that. Not even. Apparently, it's called Alphabeto. Thanks, Bipolar Bear. That is fantastic, and I really hope it's true. Definitely not true. Midfielders. Anybody in this story list?
Yes, there's a couple in there that I really like. I really like Ndai. I think he's an excellent player. Alcaraz, again, is another one that's a good player, and I really like James Garner. Strangely enough. However, out of the three, if I thought we could sign one of them, it would be the Ndai, the number 10. He's an excellent player.
I think you're mad. I think that Ndai is the best of a bad bunch, but I would not touch any of them with a barge pole. Not a chance. Are they? I think they're even remotely close to putting on a black and white shirt. I'd have taken a punt on Ndai if this was a conversation from 2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
definitely, 100%. Now, I don't think so. I think we're shopping in a very different shop window.
Yeah,
I disagree.
Right.
I agree that he's better than all of them. I don't know. I think there's a few of you saying you like James Garner as well. I don't know. I'm still horrified by his. Was it Forest he played at? I'm horrified by some of the things I saw when he was in a Forest shirt. To be honest,
was he at Forest? Was it Man United? He was at Man United, wasn't he?
I think he was. But he played as a fullback on loan. I'm just not convinced by this. I mean, all right. I'll put and how do you even say his name? NDI. We'll put him on just to give you the shout because I can't just be mean and say no. That's not fair.
Whitney Houston, isn't it? And I will always love you. Yes,
I'm just going to sigh when you do that. I've got no pool comments. Next, defenders who arguably have been the best part of this team, judging by the goal difference.
Branthwaite's the one, isn't he?
Jared, a bit of Jared.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the best one in the bunch, isn't he?
I mean, Ashley Young, Christ, for a walking football team, you know. He's playing
more than
Sunday.
Double the age of Lewis Miley.
He's playing Sunday. He has to play because Branthwaite's out, Tarkovsky's out.
Oh my word! Branthwaite seems to be always out. Has he got an injury issue?
Seamus Coleman, strangely enough, is out as well.
Oh my god! Right, well, we're putting Branthwaite in this list because we absolutely have to.
Yeah.
So Branthwaite's in the list. So we're getting a nice little collection of players here.
Didn't expect to see two Everton players in there, I must be honest, before we started.
Well, no, I didn't either. I mean, unless you want to take a goalkeeper.
No, absolutely not. The one I would.
How is Asmir Begovic still playing?
He's been released at the end of the season, though.
I felt like he was 40 like 5 years ago. How old is Asmir Begovic? He's got to be. No, he's not 37. I feel like he's been 40 for the last 5 years. He doesn't look like a footballer either. He looks like a cop. He looks like he's emigrated to the US and he's a detective or something. Anyway. Okay, we're moving on to some odds and sods now that are not necessarily PSR hot water. They are possible. We're not going to talk about Leicester because that would be a very quick conversation. Unless, Billy, is there anybody you would want in Leicester? Because I did have a look and it was really bad.
I'll take the young 15-year-old kid, but just purely for YouTube stuff.
Is he Jeremy Monger? It's
Jeremy
him, isn't
Monger,
it?
yeah. I'll take him. Absolutely not for Vardy too old. Jordan, I wouldn't take him if he's any player in the world. On the midfield, I mean, Buonanotte isn't theirs. He goes back to Brighton. I like Mavadidi, but he's done nothing in the Premier League. There is a winger they have that's quite good. Al-Kanuchi's quite good, but again, nowhere near what we've got quality-wise. And defender-wise, clearly not. Well, feces, no.
Absolutely not. How many goals have we put past them in across? What was the second fixture? It's like 7 or 8-0 across 2 legs, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. The keeper not ain't a bad keeper, to be fair to him.
I mean, Pereira was fantastic a few years ago, but that was a few years ago. James Justin, we liked about 3 years ago. It's not been as impressive since. We liked Luke Thomas as well. We don't anymore. It's just not really worked. Not really
injuries.
worked.
They've had lots of injuries, haven't they? The
Even
goalkeeper's
Paul's
good.
favourite defender, Connor Cody.
I mean, Hermansen's a good keeper, but
no, he's not going in the list. Southampton, Billy, because they got relegated. We're going to have a look at the list. They may need to get rid of somebody. Anybody from this pot?
No. in a word, we've been linked with Diblin. I think for the price they want for him, I think it's ridiculous because I don't think he's. If I'm perfectly honest, he looks a good player. He looks lots of potential.
He does look like a good player. Yeah.
They want lots and lots of wedge for him, and
I think we've got to put him in the list purely because it's been touted so heavily. We've got to put him in consideration.
Maybe.
Ryan Fraser.
I'd rather have small bone. Some people have said I have small bone. Anyway, let's go on. Defender-wise, Howard Bellis maybe
his new hairdo.
I quite like Howard Bellis, I have to say, but he's still young. He's still got time to come good.
Carl Walker-Peters on a free because I'm pretty sure he's out of contract.
He's going to Fulham, I believe.
Oh, is he?
What has Bella Cottrell done to his hair? You've just said that. He's gone for the Mickey Mouse look.
I don't know. I really don't know. Right, let's gloss over that because we're not going for goalkeepers either. And there is the token Ipswich Town shout, who I don't think are going to be in PSR hot water at all. I think they're going to be fine. They're probably going to lose Delap. And then
maybe to us, yeah.
Would we want anybody out of this list just as a general transfer?
Nope. I did like Philogene. I don't think he's fulfilled much potential, but he's still young.
Amari Hutchinson's not a bad player, but
again, he's okay. He's okay, and Leif Davies is supposed to be okay, but whenever I've seen him, he's been pretty poor. I've got to be honest. Anybody for Jack Clark? I don't think so.
No, definitely not. Schmodix is okay, but again, he's okay. Chaplin, yeah. Leif Davis obviously was highly rated last year. It's not really done it in the Premier League. He's been okay.
Yeah.
It's no surprise they've gone down. They're not a bad team, but they weren't. They obviously weren't good enough to stay in the Premier League. Muric as well. No. Yeah. So that is the list. So we're going to go back to our graphic. So let's go and move everyone kind of out of the way. So we've got a bit of lay of the land. So shall we move? Yeah, let's move it like that. So what do we think about? Hang on. Let's actually put our proper formation in so that people don't get super confused. Murphy can go up there. We'll bring. Let's do that. Whether to just put Livramento. Let's go get Joe Linton back in the shout as well. Right. I know that these people are injured, guys. This is just for the purposes of
formation, yeah.
Of formation and checking stuff. I'm just going to throw something on here. Right, so out of the funny blue people, obviously you've got Bowen that could come and compete there. Does Kudus play more left? I think he does, doesn't he? Or is he more right?
Both, isn't he? He's literally played both sides.
I mean, we'll put him there. You've got Rodgers, who is possibly going to be in these kinds of positions.
Yep.
You've got Ndai, who I don't know where does he go? Out on the wing, play 10.
He's yeah, very much so. He's a box of tricks, isn't he?
Wan-Bissaka's an easy one. Chalobah's an easy one. Madueke's an easy one. And Manthwaite, he plays left side, doesn't he, for Everton?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Right, so here is our list of potentials. What are we thinking in terms of realism, price, gettability, if that's a word?
I don't think we'll get 2 players from Chelsea, but I'll see those 2 as the most likely players. if you get my drift, I think we'll get one of those.
Chalobah, yeah?
I think we'll get one of those 2. I don't know which one though.
Okay, well let's narrow this down in terms of who we think's more likely to have to sell someone.
Yeah, we'll get rid of Ndai because we're not going to sign him, are we?
So let's take the less realistic ones out of there, and Ndai. I think West Ham might have to get rid of somebody. So we'll leave in Wan-Bissaka and Bowen as options. I'm going to suggest that Chelsea are just going to get a pass. I think if we're trying to be hyper realistic with this, we'll get rid of the two, because you would just imagine Chelsea are just going to somehow wiggle their way out of it and not have to sell. As much as I think the two would be really good signings for us, they would improve our squad significantly. Your Wan-Bissaka, your West Ham options, I think, can stay on the board because it's a little bit more realistic. The Rodgers one, I think, possibly could happen. I mean, they're not in a fantastic situation, you would imagine, Villa. Just to spend, they might have to shift somebody as well.
They
desperately need
that Champions League spot, don't they? If they don't get it, I think they're going to be selling. Yeah.
So if we get Champions League and they don't, we see this for Rodgers as a possibility if they have hot water problems.
100%.
With
I believe so.
What about Branthwaite? Do we need Branthwaite right now with obviously Botman and Dan Burn in the team? Branthwaite being a left-footed, left-sided player, obviously he's going to be very expensive, really expensive as well.
No, I don't think so. I think we need a right-sided centre half. If we definitely need a right-sided centre half, just for the balance situation, really.
And this is where
we've seen Chair play left, but there you go. They generally have a.
Well, let's move these down.
We don't have Lloyd Kelly speaks to. He's obligated to move to Juventus for £20 million. Obliged.
Yeah. So it's these four then, and wouldn't it be fantastic if we could do a poll now?
It would be great, wouldn't it?
Unfortunately, guys, I'm very sorry. We can't actually do a poll because we don't have the capabilities of doing that in StreamYard. So, Paul, if you're on the sofa, if you're watching, do you want to jump in and do a poll? He might not be watching, guys, so it's fine. He is fine, by the way. A few people have asked why Paul's not in. He's fine. He's just asked me ability to jump on and just do this. We were doing this anyway, so I think I've had a couple of days off, and he's having a night off of his own, so very fairly earned. We've got a super chat from Loaf. Thank you for your £2 super chat. So they took Ashley Young free travel pass. He's fuming. Yeah, how old is he now? Is he 40?
He's been released anyway at the end of the season, but he's not retiring. So Lord knows where he'll be next year. Eastbourne United, I'm going to say. Eastbourne Rovers.
Fox is trying to do me there. I thought Starter would have picked Andre Santos before Chalobah. Yeah, but they're not going to sell him, are they? He's the jewel in the crown. So for people who don't know, he's been out on loan this season at Strasbourg, and he's been absolutely fantastic. To be fair, I've not really watched much of it. I've just been told he's been fantastic. So that is just me repeating information. But I've previously watched him and loved him. We were linked with him before. Chelsea did hoover him up. They hoovered up all of the midfielders. You know, we were linked with Peroni from City before they got him. We were linked with Andre Santos. There were there was a cluster that just got hoovered up by all the other teams. But these are the four we're left with, guys, from today's show, with Morgan Rodgers, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Mohamed Kudus, and Jared Bowen. I think what we'll probably do is, I think we've got what day is it today? Wednesday. So we will do very likely the Everton preview tomorrow, I believe. So make sure you come back at 7 o'clock for the Everton preview. And I will get Paul to do a poll on these four. So it's a really good reason for everybody to come back. So make sure you
put them in a poll on TTR Friday. That might be a better thing.
Well,
we'll see.
I think tomorrow will be better. I think tomorrow will be better. We'll see. We'll see what it is. But make sure you come back tomorrow, guys. 7 o'clock kickoff for our Everton preview. And we'll try and get this poll up with Paul back, so you can vote on who would be your best pick out of this bunch. Todd Bowley, you can go away in the chat.
Which four do you like? The four on the bench? I mean, you own two of them.
Well, yeah, that is very true. That is very true. Thank you, everybody who supported with memberships and super chats. And thank you, everybody who's joined us tonight and chatted and contributed to the show. We couldn't do it without you. And thank you for this, for tuning in for a slightly different transfer show. But I think this is definitely a good show to do to give everybody a bit of a lay of the land, so we understand what all the squads are, what we might go for in the summer. I think it's good to educate everybody so that if the newspaper articles do come out, everybody's a bit more well informed in their decisions, and instead of having to just listen to certain rags all the time. This seems to be what the information is. And who knows, we might actually sign one of these. So we'll wait and see. Next transfer show is going to return to the normal format. So we will go and have a look at the typically linked players, probably have a cheeky look at Jacob Ramsey, some of the goalkeepers we've been linked with as well. Tomorrow is going to be the Everton preview, 7 o'clock. Come back for that. And as Billy said, TTR Friday. Thank you to Mamaru Records for sponsoring the channel. Make sure you check them out in the description below. Make sure you check out theToonReview.com. Thank you, Mods, for supporting us in the chat. Thank you. Big shout out to Martin as well for helping me with some information.
Interesting question there, Stato, from John White. John Whiteman. He says, sorry if I'm late, and I'll put it on. He's asking, will there be a transfer deadline day show for the 10th of June?
That is a great shout.
Absolutely not. For one, you're on holiday.
I'm pretty sure I'm in Turkey, so
and I think Paul may be on holiday as well, isn't
he? You won't.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. It'll be the transfer deadline show.
I am away, guys, during part of that mini transfer window, so I will tune in if we make some big waves, but only then, because the wife will kill me. So if we get some interesting stuff happening, then I'll definitely jump on. But we'll have to judge it. We'll have to play it by ear. But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Billy, for being my support. It's much appreciated. Let's get the squad off the screen. And until next time, we will see you tomorrow, everyone.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check out some green.